Star Wars fans are buzzing. Is Ahsoka Season 2 really about to save the franchise or set it up for another disaster? With more Clone Wars flashbacks, huge cameos from Obi-Wan, Anakin, and even a major twist surrounding Ray Stevenson's tragic passing, it's clear Dave Filoni is pulling out all the stops. But with all the budget cuts, show cancellations, and rumors of Ahsoka being the last hope for the series, what's really going on behind the scenes? Is Star Wars heading toward collapse or a huge comeback? Let's dive into the shocking truth about Season 2 and what it means for the future of the galaxy far, far away. Ahsoka Season 2 is gearing up to be a game changer for the Star Wars universe, pulling out all the stops and going even deeper than before. Fans can expect a much more fleshed out live-action version of the Clone Wars, something we've been craving ever since the animated series left such a mark. What's even more intriguing is the major shift regarding Ray Stevenson's character, Baylan Skoll, after his tragic passing. It has been confirmed that they'll recast the role, keeping the character's arc intact, which has sparked a lot of curiosity and anticipation. With this recasting, we know the story will continue with the respect and honor it deserves. But that's not all. Season 2 seems to be pulling all the stops with cameos and major appearances that were hinted at but not fully realized in the first season. We're talking about the kind of fan service that goes beyond just Easter eggs. Dave Filoni, who is spearheading the project, is fully committed to exploring and expanding the Mortis Gods arc, a story element that started in Season 1. And Filoni seems to be taking a better safe than sorry approach by ramping up these pivotal storylines in case the show gets cut short after Season 2. Considering the recent history of Star Wars series being abruptly cancelled, like how The Mandalorian Season 4 was axed in favor of a 2.5-hour movie, this move makes a lot of sense. It's clear that Season 2 is preparing for all possible scenarios. For fans who are frustrated with certain aspects of Season 1, this news is nothing short of a relief. It seems like Filoni is addressing many of the concerns fans had, and the changes are shaping up to make this season a much stronger offering. If you're someone who's been holding out hope for Ahsoka to truly hit its stride, this could be the season that delivers everything you've been wanting. And speaking of Star Wars, the excitement doesn't stop with Ahsoka. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on upcoming content, including the highly anticipated Andor Season 2 episodes and a deep dive into the Skeleton Crew finale. For those of you who might not know, Skeleton Crew is set around the same time as Ahsoka Season 1 and The Mandalorian Season 3. The series is technically a spin-off, but it's shaping up to have some significant connections with the other shows. We'll see how deep these connections go in the finale or if it will stand on its own. This week, one of the biggest updates for Ahsoka fans hit. Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, and Ariana Greenblatt are all returning for Season 2. But what's even more exciting is that this time, we'll be seeing more complete versions of the live-action Clone Wars flashbacks we briefly glimpsed in the first season. Instead of just focusing on Anakin, young Ahsoka, and Commander Cody, this time we'll see Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and a young Ahsoka all together. This is a significant step up from what we saw in the first season, where the flashbacks were a bit limited. Now it looks like they're making those moments feel much more immersive and expansive. When Hayden Christensen signed a new deal to return to Star Wars for a variety of series, I, like many others, assumed we would eventually see more of these beloved Clone Wars characters in live action. Hayden's return to portray both Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader in flashbacks and in the present day seemed like the perfect opportunity for Dave Filoni and the team to flesh out these moments even further. In fact, Filoni has mentioned for years in interviews, especially during the early seasons of The Mandalorian, that he wanted to bring the animated stories to life in live action. However, they were cautious, testing the waters to see if audiences would respond well to these changes before diving headfirst into a full-blown live-action Clone Wars. Despite having their hands in first before diving headfirst into a full-blown live-action Clone Wars. And when they did experiment with live-action Clone Wars flashbacks, featuring Hayden as Anakin and a younger Ahsoka, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Fans loved it. This led to the logical next step. Why not create an entire live-action Clone Wars series? Well, it turns out there's a major roadblock. The budget. A full live-action Clone Wars series would cost a staggering amount, far beyond the budget of most Star Wars shows. For instance, Andor Season 2's budget is reportedly around $250 million, a figure that surpasses the cost of many Marvel blockbusters. Lucasfilm is clearly trying to keep budgets in a manageable range, somewhere closer to $150 million. This cost factor is one of the primary reasons why many Star Wars projects have been quickly cancelled. In fact, the budget for the animated Clone Wars series was so high that George Lucas, despite his wealth, ended up losing money on it. But he didn't mind, given his financial situation, though it shows just how tricky handling budgets can be in the Star Wars universe. While George Lucas cared more about creating high-quality TV than aligned with his vision, Disney's approach is rooted in a different philosophy. They want to make a return on their investment. This stark contrast in priorities has been a topic of discussion for years, especially regarding Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ewan McGregor has been vocal at conventions about his desire to continue the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, even pushing Lucasfilm to greenlight a second season. However, the latest reports from Lucasfilm indicate there are no immediate plans to make that happen. One of the most intriguing aspects of McGregor's comments, though, was his desire to wear Obi-Wan's Clone Wars armor in a live-action setting. He's expressed that this is something he still wants to do, and it would be a dream for many fans to see him in that iconic gear. But if Lucasfilm wasn't planning a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they couldn't fit this vision into the series, there was a perfect workaround. Just add Obi-Wan to the existing live-action Clone Wars flashbacks in Ahsoka Season 2. It would have been the simplest solution, and it felt like a missed opportunity not to incorporate Obi-Wan into those scenes from Season 1. I totally get why they didn't, though. The first season was more of a trial run, a test, to see if the concept could work without going overboard on the budget. The primary focus of those flashbacks in Season 1 was to highlight Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship, particularly as Anakin's Force Ghost taught Ahsoka important lessons through the world between worlds. This setup didn't quite leave room for Obi-Wan, but it's clear that they were carefully managing the scale of the project. Now, with Season 2 on the horizon, there's a much clearer path to bring Obi-Wan back into the fold. Rosario Dawson, who plays Ahsoka, has also dropped hints about how Obi-Wan and Anakin can still play key roles in Ahsoka. She mentioned at conventions that Ahsoka still holds on to the holodiscs Anakin recorded for her during the Clone Wars, a perfect way to reintroduce flashbacks. Instead of needing massive set pieces or new world building through the world between worlds, these scenes could be done with minimal effort, just some green screens and After Effects. It would allow Ahsoka to relive her past, telling stories about her time with Obi-Wan and Anakin to characters like Sabine. These small, intimate moments could serve as gateways to more Clone Wars flashbacks, allowing the legacy of those iconic characters to live on in a more personal, reflective way. It was almost a given that Anakin Skywalker would make a return in Ahsoka Season 2, particularly in the context of the Mortis Gods arc. This storyline, which was set up in Season 1, is meant to be a monumental part of the series moving forward. Dave Filoni had teased the arc early on, mentioning how significant it would be, especially with the direction Ahsoka's character is heading in. Ahsoka is currently stranded in the Peridia Galaxy, a place where she's grappling with forces beyond her control. Meanwhile, Baylan Skoll, played by the late Ray Stevenson, had been trying to find a way into Mortis, using the Mortis Gods statues as markers to unlock the way. The beacon he was following was meant to guide him through this cosmic journey, which connects directly to the mysterious and powerful Mortis realm. This name was collected to the mysterious and powerful Mortis realm. The unfortunate passing of Ray Stevenson left a huge gap, as his role in this storyline seemed critical. Baylan's connection to the Mortis Gods arc was so central to the narrative that abandoning it was not an option. Filoni and the team had no choice but to recast the role, and they found a fitting actor in Rory McCann, best known for his portrayal of Sandor the Hound Clegane in Game of Thrones. McCann's casting in the role of Baylan Skoll feels like a tribute to Ray Stevenson, especially considering the personal connection between the two actors. They were close friends in real life, which adds a poignant layer to the recasting decision. It's as if the role has been passed on by a best friend, which brings a certain respect and warmth to McCann's performance. This decision has been met with a lot of appreciation because, given the unfortunate circumstances, it's the best possible solution. The Mortis Gods arc and Baylan Skoll's journey are too significant to be dropped, and Macon's involvement could help honor Ray's legacy in the series. Speaking of the Mortis Gods, there's also growing speculation about the main antagonist of Season 2, with some rumors pointing to Abeloth from the Star Wars Legends universe. This character, who was originally introduced in the Mortis arc during the Clone Wars episodes, could play a major role in the events of Season 2. Abeloth, known for her immense power and chaotic influence, would make an intriguing and powerful foe for Ahsoka and her allies to face as they navigate the deeper, more mystical aspects of the Star Wars universe. While Abeloth wasn't part of the original Clone Wars Mortis arc, her story is explored further in the Star Wars Legends books, and her inclusion in Ahsoka Season 2 would add an intriguing layer to the Mortis Gods narrative. Initially, Abeloth was a human woman known as the Mother, who cared for the son and the daughter, the two siblings who embody the darker and lighter aspects of the Force. In this sense, the Mortis Gods were like her family. However, being mortal and bound by the limitations of time, she feared the inevitable separation from her immortal children. Desperate to preserve her place in their world, she turned to the Font of Power, a Force nexus with the potential to grant her the same immortality as the gods, but instead of achieving her goal, it corrupted her, twisting her into a monstrous being, Abeloth, who sought to bring chaos and destruction to the universe. Her transformation into this cosmic force of chaos marks her as a significant and terrifying presence within the Star Wars mythos. If this arc is explored in Ahsoka Season 2, it could be a crucial turning point in the story, especially as Balin Skoll is drawn into the Mortis realm. The Mortis God's influence is powerful, and Abeloth could easily serve as the ultimate antagonist for Ahsoka and the other characters involved in this conflict. On a more speculative note, another intriguing theory revolves around Dave Filoni's potential plan to transform Anakin Skywalker into a Force God, essentially positioning him as the new figure to take on the role once held by the Father, one of the three Mortis Gods. The Father's prophecy in the Clone Wars episode suggested that Anakin was destined to replace the Mortis Gods and continue their work of maintaining the cosmic balance in the Force. This concept could allow Filoni to elevate Anakin into a far more cosmic and powerful figure than we've seen before, perhaps even beyond his human form. This would explain why Anakin has been absent from the galaxy for so long. He's been busy keeping the universe in balance, working on a level far beyond the scope of mere mortals. As for the return of some familiar faces, the idea of seeing Sam Witwer reprise his role as the son from the Clone Wars Mortis arc is exciting. Witwer, known for voicing Starkiller in Star Wars The Force Unleashed games, has also lent his voice to the son in the original Mortis trilogy of Clone Wars. His voice will also be present in Heri's unique combination of the bright green with blue shadows from the lead mistress. If Filoni decides to bring Witwer back for a live-action version of the Sun, it would be a monumental moment, as it would be the first time the character is portrayed in live action, further deepening the connections between the animated and live-action Star Wars universes. It's a move that could tie everything together, from the Mortis arc to Anakin's fate and the larger themes Filoni has been building since The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. If you've been following my previous Ahsoka videos or the breakdowns from other Disney Plus Star Wars series, then you know that Sam Witwer has had stealth cameos in nearly every single Star Wars project to date. Whether he's had his face covered or used a completely different voice to disguise his identity, he's been under the radar, but always there, adding his unique touch to the universe. Fans have been asking for years, why haven't we seen Sam in a major role where we can actually see his face? He's a fantastic actor and clearly knows his Star Wars inside and out. What's the deal? It's possible that Dave Filoni is simply holding him back for something much bigger down the line, perhaps a live-action version of the Sun from the Mortis arc? And you know what? Given Filoni's track record for keeping major reveals under wraps, this wouldn't be the first time he's played the long game. Now, I know I'm not diving too deep into the Night Sister and Thrawn storylines in this video. There's so much to cover, but let me tell you, there's a massive thread to unravel with the resurrection of the ancient Night Sisters and their plans. I think they'll save a lot of this for the Thrawn movie Filoni's still planning, but don't expect that to be the primary focus. We're probably going to see a much smaller scale approach when it comes to the Night Sisters there, and I'm not sure we'll get all the answers just yet. But trust me, the bigger Star Wars universe is in full motion, and Ahsoka will be back in the spotlight when that Mandalorian and Grogu movie finally hits the screen. Speaking of, Ahsoka's appearance in that movie is a certainty, along with a whole bunch of other big-name cameos. You thought it was just going to be Mando and Grogu? Think again. The connections are only getting bigger, and we can expect some major surprises along the way. What do you think? How are Ahsoka and Mandalorian tying into the larger Star Wars cinematic universe? What role do you think Sam Witwer will finally get to take on? And what about the Night Sisters? Are they going to be central to the upcoming movie, or will they be a side plot to the main event? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to post your reactions. I'll be covering all this and more in future videos as we uncover more details. While we're still waiting on Ahsoka Season 2, don't expect it till at least 2026. There's still plenty to get excited about. Next up, I'll be diving into the Skeleton Crew Season 2 finale, and after that, I'm breaking down Andor Season 2 episodes. If you haven't checked out my Mandalorian and Grogu movie trailer breakdown yet, make sure to click here for that, and click here for the Andor trailer as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.